Welcome back to Revenue Garage. Dun, dun. Let's get ready to rumble. I will say you should never make a cold call in that voice, but it'll be pretty fun to try it. I am your MC, the second coolest MC behind MC Hammer, although I do know the full lyrics to Can't Touch This. Dun, 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 dun. Today, we're joined live in the great state of Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah, that's probably not the best introduction here. Who's your favorite sports team? Let me get it right. Let's start out with some personalization at scale.
Oh yeah, Clemson Tigers. Let's go.
Go Clemson. All right. We are joined by Gavin Tice from Darwinian Ventures, which is a great name. I want to hear more about that. We're back. We're doing more cold calls. We're doing cold calls for Rev Garage. RevenueGarage.com, where we explore methodologies and method hunts and try to figure out what's going on with sales and catalog the different strategies that salespeople actually use to open a cold call and the different blends that they're using on calls. You would think there was a place to go on the internet to find this out, and it's actually kind of a world's first to amalgamate and blend this together. RevenueGarage.com is where you need to go. The sponsors are Slintel, LeadIQ, Connect and Sell, Vidyard, Salesborgs, and Revenue Grid. And Gavin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to be here.
Tell us a little about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah. Who am I and what do I do? I'm a Marine turned social worker, therapist, turned into a sales samurai. Let's see, what else do I do? I work for Darwinian Ventures as a senior sales consultant. We are a company that I like to say is startup sales as a service. So for those new companies or those who are trying to gain traction and are really trying to find that right product market fit, or just trying to figure it all out and haven't really got those hits yet, we come in and we provide a host of different services, and we've been able to take some companies already to IPO. So it's a pretty exciting place to be.
And who are you calling for today?
I am calling for Justin Michael Consulting.
I swear, I just felt like the Hunger Games there. It was like, well, and who are you fighting for? I really do feel like I'm, announcing the Mockingjay at this point. Cold calling is a full contact sport. And the reason I like to compare it to boxing is to be really good at it, you're doing a lot of things that are unnatural, right? Like if you get in a ring with a trained fighter, I'm a larger guy, and if I go in flyweight and I go against Floyd Mayweather, he's going to knock me out 2 seconds. It doesn't matter if I have a weight advantage or a strength advantage. In this case, it would only be a weight advantage. A little humor, but you know what I mean? Like someone who's a trained fighter. So it's the same with cold calling. If you've trained yourself on psychology and these approaches, it's a bit of a Jedi mind trick. I mean, you really do have the power. Now I know you Sandler trained. He's been a big inspiration. We're very curious as you do the calls today, what's going through your head tactically and why. But let's get kicked off. Go ahead and please go, and let's start your engines.
Let's roll. Okay, we are running. And it's funny that you mentioned being in a boxing ring and your competitor, because in a lot of cases, the people that you're calling on, they are very well trained. It's almost like they've gone to how to defeat a cold call school. And the buyers themselves tend to, find people to be an interruption, or kind of a pesky mosquito flying around their voicemail. So what I have been taught is to just come in and be pretty frank about why I'm calling and make it worth the time. and see if there's any value in having a further conversation down the line.
Awesome. How is your tech moving? Are you seeing the numbers going?
Yeah, we're going.
And what is the $60 million thing you say when you get on the phone?
Hey, this is a sales call on a recorded line.
Boom. Thank you. Circle gets a square. Tell him what he's won.
All right.
So how did I even meet you? This is interesting. Where are they now? Salesborgs?
Our good friend Amy.
Okay. I never know how I'm going to get introduced to people. It's interesting. The great World Wide Web. But yeah, how are you seeing like sales life different from now? Oh, and you live right near Anthony Iannarino. That's the crazy thing.
And I believe we're in the same neighborhood. Like it's that crazy.
This is funny though. So it's going to take to meet him when he's down the street. Like you're probably going to pass him in a car.
For sure. And Brandon Bernanson from Seamless and I used to go to the same gym, pre-COVID. So.
But I bet you weren't there at 3 a.m.
No, wasn't there at 3 a.m. Sometimes definitely at like the 4:30 slot.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
3 a.m. is usually a time I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, me too. At least once a week. Well, I'm just trying to like lay low here in hovercraft mode because it's going to beep. And I'm going to, I know you too well. So we're going to be in the middle of a conversation and we're going to lose the beep. So yeah. So what's happening in the background here is 4 or 5 phone numbers at a time are being called. And there's quite a bit of magic and wizardry happening behind the scenes. And then we'll just hear a beep and you'll be live.
Gosh, the one thing I forgot today was like cough drops to keep myself from, I'm trying to like drink hot water right now and refresh my throat so I don't like lose total voice control here.
Well, that's one of the, like my tone, I tend to be pretty soft-spoken, but I have a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is I grew up.
Hey, this is Gavin on a sales call on a recorded line. Is this Daniel?
It is.
Hey, man, you're more than welcome to hang up on me now or give me 30 seconds to tell you the reason why I called.
Yeah, what do you got? What do you got? I mean, I'm in the middle of making calls myself.
Awesome. So, hey Daniel, I get typically invited in by CEOs and business owners like you. They're usually frustrated because, they've got a sales team. They claim they can't get in front of enough prospects and enough decision makers, but they're usually not picking up the phone. Others, they tell us, they're concerned about their sales teams. They hide on LinkedIn all day. They're becoming professional profile visitors. Or, they're sending out poorly written emails, man. They often wind up with outcomes that no one knows if the deal's going to close. Sometimes owners tell us that they feel angry. They're closing deals, but they're giving away margin, discounting way too quickly. I'm guessing none of that rings any bells for you.
No, you know what? I'm pretty set. I got 3 guys that work for me, and I talk with them all the time. We've got good telemarketing for lead gen. You know what? We're all set. So I'm going to hang up, and good luck on your next call, man. I'm going to go do the same thing.
Well, Daniel, one second. Since we're not going to do business today, and that's fine, and not everybody needs us, tell me, like, who out of your colleagues or peers out there that they're not hitting 100% quota attainment like your guys?
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't ask that question with the guys that I work with or the guys that I know, my buddies that are in similar markets or the same market as I am. So, I like the good luck on your next call, man.
All right. Later. Thanks, Danny. Take care. That hung up.
You did great, Gavin. It's good. We broke the ice on that one. That's a classic. I'm all set. I love that. That's just like that standoffish. I do the same thing. It's yeah. I was saying about your tea and everything that I use a calm tonality because it's how I was able to do 12 and 14-hour days. If I stopped drinking water, I could get exactly 12 to 13 hours and sit in my station. So that's how I set my records. When I was 21, I did a 90-hour week. Back then it was good money. I made $9,000 in 6 days, and I won a ladder over 300 competitors. And I did it by dehydrating myself and talking calmly, because you burn at about 4 hours of direct speaking, you start burning out. So for folks that have gone the distance, like Chuck Yeager style, old schoolers, you learn to fully relax your vocal cords. There you go.
Hey, George, this is Gavin Tice on a recorded line. I'm looking for a bit of help. How about I take a minute to tell you why I'm calling, and maybe we can see if it's worth talking, or maybe you can put me into the right person. Does that seem fair?
Well, if you can tell me what you're calling about, because I'm about to go into a meeting. So what are you calling about, sir?
Yeah. Are you the person who's in charge of for your organization?
Say that again. You got garbled.
Are you the executive who's in charge of sales for your organization, George?
I am, but if this is a sales call again, I'm going into a meeting right now. Thank you very much.
When would be a better time to connect with you? He's going into a meeting. I've never understood why people will answer a phone call from a number they don't know when they're going into a meeting. Like, how does that happen?
Well, you handled that well. It's people make excuses, right? It's like, oh, this is a sales call. Oh, something's hot on the stove. I have to go water my plant. Any excuse.
It's all good. In the Sandler world, we had the some will, some won't, some are waiting kind of situation. But the fact of the matter is I've got, two people on the phone so far. And in that first call, if you remember when I asked him, hey, Mark, it's Gavin Tice on a recorded line.
Yes. Who is this?
It's Gavin Tice, Mark. Safe to assume my name is completely unfamiliar to you?
It is.
Yeah. Not a big deal. Let me take you a moment to share with you the reason for reaching out to you this morning. Give you a little bit of context, and I'm sure we can figure out if there's any value in getting together or not. Does that seem okay?
Shoot. What's going on?
Yeah, man. So, Mark, I work for Justin Michael Consulting. Our organization could be considered a sales consultancy. Typically, when I get opportunities to sit down with guys like you, people share with me that they build a great company. They're good at what they do. They've got a great team that's ambitious. They're technically sound, but due to whatever reasons, they're not out there knocking on enough new doors on a consistent basis. They're not generating a lot of new revenue. It's not coming in the rate that they're happy with. Mark, other times they tell me that, hey, they do a good job getting ahead of new opportunities, but it's a constant frustration that, sales cycles are taking longer than they believe they should. They're doing a lot of unpaid consulting. They're not seeing the new revenue show up in the deals that they know they should have closed. Probably the thing that's most consistent is, they're doing a great job closing those deals, but they're existing in a tight and competitive market. Buyers are commoditizing the hell out of them. And at times they're giving away all their margin just to close the deals. And, I'm going to stop here, Mark. I don't know you. I don't know how you run your organization, but my question to you is, is there anything that I mentioned that resonated with you and possibly worth a further conversation?
Well, David, I don't know if you know, but I'm director of business development for an auto logistics company now. So our business is quite different than it would be, like say, healthcare type of sales. So we do have a group of about 25 or 30 account executives that handle their own accounts. They're all 1099. So it's totally different. They're responsible for their own, leads and generating new accounts. So we don't have any type of process, in place that we would, that we're responsible for. Even the sales cycles are totally different. It's not really a sales cycle. It's just our guys call up dealers or the manufacturers and say, we can move your vehicles a little more efficient and for less money type of thing. And then they say, okay, we'll give you a shot. And then that's how it starts. So, like I said, from what you're explaining and what I'm used to as far as sales cycles and going 12, 14, 16 months, this business is totally different and a lot. Let's say it this way: a lot more pleasant.
A lot more pleasant. I love that. So I'm guessing you said you don't have a process. Are you guys pretty prolific, like using email templates or LinkedIn, or are you guys mainly, on the phone?
Yeah, these guys are primarily they're just on the phone.
Okay, and they seem to be hitting pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Mark, I won't take up any more of your time then. We're not for everybody, and we understand that. So, I'm going to guess you're part of a chamber maybe, or, you might have some other people that you might know that may, some of those things that I pointed out, maybe some of that resonates that, you have anyone who you might refer to me?
You know what? I'm trying to think of anybody that yeah, I'll tell you what. I left the healthcare industry last August, so just got out of it, tired of it, especially with the way COVID hit. So I haven't been in touch with many of my old colleagues, but Vigilance was a company that I left, so I know you can try reaching out to them. But everybody seems to be changing their processes a little bit.
Yeah, well, and I mean, sometimes change is good. Who would it be that might be responsible or might have been in your same role at Vigilance that I should reach out to then?
Well, I'll tell you what. If you go on LinkedIn and look at Vigilance, they have various regional VPs of sales, but they're all independent, and it drives up through corporate. And Eric Johnson is the heads up that whole division. Maybe reach out to him.
Eric Johnson. Okay. And, gosh, what a great thing for you to say. Any chance that I could say that we at least had a conversation, or you want me to just come in cold just like I did with you?
Yeah, come in cold. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of him, so.
Okay.
Probably not the best.
Well, hey, no problem, Mark. And, should you be willing to look at something new, head over to salesboards.ai. I think you'll find some enlightenment there, and look forward to possibly connecting with you on LinkedIn.
You got it. Take care, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You bet. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Well done, man. Is it time to have a little, herbal tea? That's great. I love that. It's like, hey, I actually have an active deal where it's like this guy left the company and gave me the ability to go in there, and I'm working with his old boss. So that was well played, Gavin. Did you disposition the call? Is the dialer still going?
Yeah. Crap, I gotta hit next call. There we go.
Okay, good. I can't see your screen, but I've lived in your world. So next call going. What was going on in your head? What's your motivation, man? Talk to us about how you navigated that. Educate the listener base here.
Well, Mark sounded like an interested guy. He really let me pour on him. Obviously, if anyone's keeping track, they've heard 3 different variations of the same situation here. So when I'm able to really dial in there, I gave him a lot of long form. I set some contracts up, and I'm not sure if anyone caught those with him, but I'm just saying, hey man, maybe this is worth a further conversation. And I gave him some nice positive things about his company, right, ahead of time, and then I brought down the negatives. In the family world, we call that a stroke. and then a couple negatives. So it's kind of nice when you're psychologically building people up. Sometimes those cold calls come in and they're very negative, right? People are just kind of telling you like all the things that you're doing wrong and what you should and shouldn't be doing, and how you've maybe spent money or whatever on systems or processes that don't work. And, no one ever wants that, right? No one ever wants to be told like, hey, all the things that you've researched and thought were the right things was wrong. And now here I am, Superman, I'm going to fix everything. So I'm trying to take the tact of giving some positives in some of these areas, and then following up with the negatives on the back end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. We're going to do some more calls. I just think it's great you went to the referral, and solid approach. Gavin Tice coming in hot from somewhere in Ohio, great state of Clemson Tigers. We're going to do some promotions here. RevenueGarage.com, your location for the methods, cold calls, emails. What are the sales methodologies in use today? Let's compare them, learn about them. We've got sponsors here: Slintel, Lead IQ, Connect and Sell, Vidyard, Salesborgs.ai, and Revenue Grid. And it's all going down at Revenue Garage. Gavin Tice from Darwinian Ventures doing some cold calls for, I don't know, this weird cat named Justin Michael Consulting. I don't know if you should trust them. The game is rigged. So we're just trying to learn about the method using a parallel assisted dialer, a weapon of mass conversation. And so Gavin may look serene, but under the surface, something is dialing 4 or 5 VPs of sales at a time. And that's what's actually happening as we wait.
Yeah, so I've got, I'm hitting only CEOs and VPs of sales and founders. So
Awesome.
Going for the top of the food chain.
Talk to us about that. What do you fear? Like, is there a fear factor when you call really high? I know for folks starting out, sometimes it's the dreaded C-level call. It's hard to get psyched up. We're putting on a suit and tie every day, trying to figure out how do I talk to the C-levels. Any advice in general? What's going through your mind, or to approach that?
It's conviction. It all comes down to that you have to believe that your company and your product service is figuratively gonna fix, this company's cancer, right? You can have it as an affirmation that one of the great guys in Sandler said is, I cure sales cancer. Would say that every day before his calls. And I think the more conviction that you have the best product in the marketplace, you're almost doing people a disservice if you don't call them to tell them about it. And yeah, it's tough. My first BDR job, I was scared to death. I definitely did not believe that I could talk to a senior level person. And like Dave Sandler used to say, I felt more comfortable talking to a manager or, even a janitor, whoever would pick up the phone, versus getting to someone high level like a CIO, CEO, or someone at an executive level. And then, I just didn't understand having conviction was so powerful. But I think it all comes down to conviction. And, it's also at bats, Justin, let's be real here. I mean, if you're only connecting with, 2 or 3 people a day, it's hard to get confident in your approach and what you're saying, your scripting, how you feel, how your language sounds. So once you get a couple thousand calls underneath your belt, good, bad, or ugly, it starts to kind of make you resilient and able to bounce back. And another great Sandler person used to say that no one ever died from making a cold call. No one has ever died. And if they did, I'd love to find out who that person was, because you're not going to die.
I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure there's a world record. Tell me, so we're still waiting for a live connect. We've got to be careful of the beep here. Tell me your most hilarious call. Like, you've got to have a story. I mean, you're Gavin Tice.
My most hilarious call. So I tried one of these funny calls where they answered and they said, "Hey," and I said, "Hey." I said, "Hey," and I said, "Hey, you guys." And they just started laughing. I said, "All right, cool. Now that we've broken the ice and you've given me 7 seconds, let me tell you the reason why I called. We can see if it, makes sense for us to have a conversation from there." And the guy on the back end, it was like, that is like the best, call I've ever had. And he wound up becoming a client. So it worked really well. But, that can really backfire on you too, I think. And it's good to change things up, it's good to change things up.
Is that from The Sandlot?
Hey, you guys? No, that's
That
from Goonies.
Arnold?
Come on.
Oh, it's from Goonies.
Huh?
Yeah, of course. Goonies Never Say Die. I knew it was.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Hey, you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. And, sometimes people, I think of it kind of like Chick-fil-A, right? A friend of mine showed me a video as he was onboarding for Chick-fil-A, and they've got this amazing video of why they're always like, "Hey, it's my pleasure." And, they're so happy to see people. And in the video, it shows like various people at the Chick-fil-A, and there's like bubble thoughts on top of their head. So there's like an older couple. And on top of that, it's like, married 50 years. They're having their like 50th anniversary lunch. There's like a troubled teen with a bubble over his head. And it's like, mother and father are thinking of getting divorced. He's unsure about home. There's another one that, it's like a single dad and, wife is in the hospital with the new baby. And they're like, "You may be the only person." "Hey, Keith, this is a sales call on a recorded line. More than welcome to hang up or give me 30 seconds to tell you why I called." No, I'm going to hang up. You're going to hang up? Are you sure? He hung up. All right. Well.
It's all good. We're going to get some hang ups. Let's keep moving.
I caught that whoop pretty quick.
Pep talk. I'm here as a virtual cheerleader and an MC. And, like I say on these calls, this is what I do for a living. I'm fun employed and I host cold call competitions. There's been 2.
Hello. Hey, Darby. It's Gavin Tice on a recorded line. Yeah, I'm looking for a bit of help.
Sorry, I can barely hear you.
Yeah, Darby.
Hello?
I'm looking for a bit of help.
Okay.
Maybe let me take a minute and tell you why I'm calling. And maybe you can tell me whether or not you're the right person to talk to. Are you the executive who's in charge of sales there at Privet?
I no longer work for Privet.
Oh, bummer. I'm sorry to hear that. Is there someone I should be in touch with over there or not?
Depending on what do you need?
Yeah, so I work for a sales consultancy, and typically I'm working with companies. They've got great sales teams, but there's a lot of frustrations, because they're not seeing their people get in front of enough decision makers.
You need to speak with Mark Wilson.
Mark Wilson,
okay, so you can look it up on the Privet website. Mark Wilson is he's the director of business development. That's who you can work with.
Perfect. Good friend of yours?
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I work with Mark, yeah, so you can talk to him. All right, listen, good luck with it, and take care.
Yeah, okay, Darby. Take care. Man.
Now, if you want to see a piece of...
I don't know if that...
How would I have this?
I don't know if that counts as a referral.
I know. This is the logo for who you're calling for. How would I have that? No. Great job, Gavin. That was cool. I would call that a referral. I mean, that's sort of like a forced referral. That's like, brushing the crocodile's teeth. You get in and they give you the data. But sometimes if you're persistent, that's okay. Because a lot of people's, their character is, they're bristly. They're not necessarily nice. Some of the best decision makers are just like that. Like I can be difficult when I'm cold called. It doesn't mean I'm not going to give you time. I kind of test people to see if they're really going to try to, progress the deal, because I'm, a cold caller. So salespeople, when you're selling to salespeople, they're either the easiest or the hardest to sell to. Like I had a guy yesterday. just critiquing me on my sales process, and I was like, I don't need your business, so thank you.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I'll put him down as a referral.
I don't know. I'm not the judges. I don't get the
Okay.
score. I just get to wear the logo and feel the pride of having amazing style.
You just get to wear the logo. I love that. I think that's interesting. He's the second guy we've called with this great data that is no longer employed by the company. So that's kind of cool. So we have 5 conversations, 391 remaining contacts, 1 bad number. I'm good with that. Okay. Oh, man. All right.
Here's a fun little prop. You get sent things all the time. I got sent this. This is the social phone by Kenny Madden.
Very nice.
So, I get that. I get people send me things in the mail. I got this little Gavin. A little physical comedy here. Let's keep dialing. How you feeling, man? You need I feel like we need a fight corner. Give you some water and cut work.
Yeah, right. Well, nothing gauging on the ego today. Really, I've had some really fun conversations. One guy off to a business meeting, and it's always nice when you capture someone like, hey, I asked Mark. I said, good guy. The guy who gave me Mark Wilson. I said, you good friend of his? He's like, yeah, we work together. He's good. So trying to get a little tidbits out of them. At the end of the day, it's all about having fun. I'm going to get off this. Apparently, I will go have a quick bite with my wife and then get on to cold calling for the rest of my afternoon. So, it's just another day. Another day.
Just another day in Ohio.
But,
trying to find Anthony What can you do? You want to book a sales call. You should just stand outside your house with a sign and be like, hey, Reno, meet with me. Just live, like the. How many people know him? Like a campaign.
Well, I mean, funny enough, the only reason why I know he lives here, much less in my neighborhood, is he was on a podcast of a friend of mine. And, he was talking about where him and his wife go and eat tacos. And I was like, dude, that's right around the corner from my house. And then he said, yeah, I'm in Westerville. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty weird. And then, so I kind of just put all that together and was like, oh, he's actually in my neighborhood. So it's pretty funny. You never know. You never know.
A sales blog, Ian Reno's like Jeffrey Gitomer, a collector of books, an incredible library. So yeah, I'm not trying to encourage everyone to get together in COVID here, but there's some awesome sales talent from the Midwest, the Silicon Prairie, as I call it, including Mike Weinberg, who I had breakfast with, Simplified New Sales Simplified. I share these folks because they have good cold calling methods. Anthony Iannarino, Mike Weinberg, check them out. Check out their books. We're here on the Rev Garage. I'm Justin Michael, recently fun employed. I host cold call competitions worldwide. We have sponsors: Slintel, Connect and Sell, Lead IQ, Vidyard, Salesborgs.ai. That's easy to say. No AI there at all. Me and a group of hooligans. And we have Revenue Grid. And we're thankful to be having Gavin Tice doing some calling today. Other general questions. Do you believe in rebuttals? Is this a thing? How do you handle the specific brush-offs, rebuttals, pushbacks? Do you build rebuttal sheets and lists? Is this traditional? Do you feel that if you're getting rebuttals, you're using the technique wrong? Walk us through that.
Rebuttals. Yeah. I think if you present what you're talking about, I mean, most of what I'm talking to people about, they're VPs or CEOs of sales companies. They're the problems and the challenges that I'm bringing up are fairly common. You know, like they're not one size fits all. So if people say, hey, you know, we're all good. Oh, okay, great. So that means you guys are hitting 100% quota attainment. And then what do they say? Oh, or you can always say, so what does good sound like? What does that mean to you? I mean, I could have maybe gone a little bit deeper with the guy from Vigilance, but, you know, he's got a bunch of 1099 employees. He's not focused on training them. He's not worried about their methodologies. So, you know, could I have dug deeper with them and really tried to like flesh out some way that we could have worked together? It's possible. But, you know, the good news is there's, you know, 376 other people that we can contact today. And, you know, I did get a referral out of them, or at least someone to talk to him at his previous job. So I think, you know, rebuttals can be okay, but, you know, I'm more interested in handling those things up front. You know, if we run actually through a full like call and someone's going to sit there and have a conversation with us moving forward, I'm going to set up a contract with them ahead of time. I'm going to tell them consistently, like, look, if you don't think it's going to be working, it's going to work out for the two of us, you know, you're free to tell me at any time. I'll do the same thing for you. Is that fair? Yes. And, you know, I'm going to tell them up front, like, what's going to happen, next steps. Hey, we're going to meet, you know, you're going to probably find out some questions about what I do and how we work with other companies. And I'm going to dive into more about your company and what you guys do and what's worked and what doesn't. And hey, Christine.
Hello.
Hey, Christine. This is Gavin Tice on a recorded line.
With who? I'm sorry.
This is Gavin Tice on a recorded line.
Okay.
Safe to assume.
I don't know what that is, but.
Safe to assume my name doesn't ring a bell to you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, not a big deal. Let me take a minute, share with you the reason for me calling you this morning, give you a little bit of context, and then we can figure out if there's any value in us having a further conversation. Is that fair?
If it's a minute, like give me a quick summary. What is this, a sales call or is this something else?
Yeah, no, it's a sales call. Christine, typically, you know,
okay.
I work with other CEOs like yourself. They're frustrated because they've got sales teams who can't get in front of enough decision makers.
I'm not interested in help with the sales team.
Okay.
Is that what this is about? Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Understood.
I think you did well there. That was a brush off. You know, just any seller. There's nothing you could do there. So that was well played.
I wanted her to tell me that they're perfect and fine. But okay. On to the next call. I guess it kind of sticks at me when they're like, I guess the delay is catching them and they can't hear my name or something. But at least we're getting in. This call is on a recorded line every time, right? That's always good.
Yeah, thank you for
386 more dials. Well, it's coming in, I guess. Boy, the time has flown. Oh, I can't believe we've already been doing this for this long. Cool. So what's next, Justin? What else you got?
Next question, we talked about rebuttals. Talk about positive psychology,
Mm-hmm.
IR. I think the IR theory is amazing for people, or your own version of it. Like, how do you stay motivated getting rejected as a job? It's a bizarre thing we all do. It's a method unto itself. Yeah,
so the easiest way for me to put that into context is when I found out what IR theory, so that's individual and role theory, was, I happened to stumble upon a sports psychologist, which I find really exciting. And this guy worked with some of the best and brightest athletes, you know, name the sport. And you've got these people who are, very well paid at the top of their athletic careers, and there's a lot of stress there. And how do they continue to constantly, beyond honing their skills and going through the coaching and things, like what do they do on the individual psychological level? And so he actually talks about how a lot of these people, they wear certain things. They have charms that they have, in their clothing, or they have certain rituals that they do prior to a fight, a game, whatever. And that was kind of interesting because it's kind of like, I remember there was a boxer, and he created like a new identity for himself. So he had a ritual, which I can't remember what he did, but he called himself Evander Tyson. So Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson, all kind of in the same person. And so that was like when he did his ritual before the fight, that's who he became, was Evander Tyson. And, once he got done with the fight, win or lose, he would do his ritual, and then he was back to being, hey, Michael, this is a sales call on a recorded line. More than welcome to hang up on me or give me 30 seconds to tell you the reason for the call.
Yeah, sorry. Have a good day.
Oh, okay. You too. All right. Let's see. Off we go. So I think it's very important, especially now in COVID times. A lot of us are working from home. I tend to dress up at home, at work, and it helps me kind of like put on my role for the day. And then, when the day is done, I obviously, relax and put on some more comfortable clothing. And that kind of just changes my perception. Because I think a lot of us working from home, like there's no separation, right? Like we're in our offices all day, we're on our laptops or phones, constantly checking Slack, WhatsApp, emails. And so you've got to have some sort of separation. How do you kind of separate yourself, Justin?
Yeah, it's for me, I've always had the feeling of, this is like, I'm not going to define myself. I came up playing baseball. And so in baseball, you get 2 out of 10, you're pretty good. 3 out of 10, you're great. 4 out of 10 hits, and you're Carl Yastrzemski or Ted Williams, you're the best ever. So, and you're still missing 6 on 10. So there's this book, Anti-Fragile, by Nicholas Taleb, who did The Black Swan. It's like, you've got to find a way, like a reverse psychology to just eat the no's. You're like, great, I got another no, because that's going to get you the yes. So you have to kind of reverse wire what you're doing, because it's this weird, it's like baseball. It's a losing sport, and it's like fighting, because by the 11th round you're out of energy and you can't fight anymore. So you have to you have to enjoy the battle and the grit and the grind, and learn to enjoy when you get chewed out or hung up on, and just find it amusing and play thought games to change your own psychology of how your reaction points are. That's how I did it. I was able to kind of rewire my brain.
I also think, if you look at constructively, if your organization has the numbers to know, how many dials does it take to get, hey, Nick, this is Gavin Tice on a recorded line. I'm looking for a bit of help. I'll take a minute and tell you why I called, and we can decide if it's worth having a further conversation.
Do we lose that one?
Hey, Nick?
Yeah, this is Nick. I'm listening.
Yeah, Nick, are you the executive in charge of sales there at EOS Group?
No, somebody else is in charge of sales, but we don't take phone solicitations, okay? So thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Certainly. Can you tell me, Nick, who that would be?
We don't take phone solicitations, so please don't call, okay? I appreciate it. Thank you.
I got you, Nick. Appreciate it.
You did fine there. One of my ones, I will say, it's not a solicitation. This is a B2B sales call. So I challenge people a lot on that, just because I'm one of these wonks who knows the law. Like, don't solicit me. Like, I'm not soliciting you. I get into it. I'm not going to win, because if you argue with a prospect, you're not going to win. So you did what you could. That's just a losing battle. People love that. That's a power grab. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm just gonna, like the people that get on all the email subscribe lists and they're like, unsubscribe. Oh, please unsubscribe. I don't take solicitation. Like, who has the time? I just noticed I was on some list for a beauty salon in Australia. It was on my LinkedIn inbox or somewhere. I was like, how did I even get opted into this stuff? Like, I don't have time. I have so much spam hitting me all the time because people add on LinkedIn and then they just start like sending you stuff as if they're opted in and just, people, they're control freaks about their email box and their calls. And I share this because callers get scared to do calls. It's all good. You can do calls in the US, I mean, it's a little trickier in other countries sometimes, but yeah, just keep going, man. You do what you could. What do you say?
I mean, that was a long pause. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say anything until he does. And I think you chimed in. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, if you can reverse engineer your processes to like how many dials it takes to get, to a connection, how many of those connections turn into an actual meeting, and then how many of those meetings you cancel, so you can figuratively look at every rejection or every person who says they're not interested or whatever. You can almost look at, hey, Steven, this is Gavin Tice on a recorded line.
Hey, Gavin, how are you? How can I help?
Hey, safe to assume, Steven, my name is unfamiliar to you?
Could you say that again?
Safe to assume, like, my name's not ringing any bells, Steven?
No, it isn't.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, look, I'm looking for a little bit of help here. Are you the executive who's in charge of sales there?
I am, yep.
Oh, fantastic. So I'll make this real quick. We work with companies who have built great sales teams, Steven, but there tends to be a lot of frustration because, their people are claiming they can't get in front of enough of those decision makers, and they're just not picking up the phone and prospecting to drive that new revenue. Often they tell us, they're concerned their sales teams hide on LinkedIn all day. They're becoming professional profile visitors, or, they're writing really poor emails, and outcomes are really getting kind of jaded. They don't know if the deals are going to close this quarter or not. Sometimes, though, people are telling us a lot of time that they're closing all those deals, but they're heavily commoditized and they're losing their margins, or their sales folks are discounting way too quickly. Any of this sound familiar to you?
No, I mean, we go to market through channels, so it's not, we don't really sell direct. So none of those things apply to us, to be honest.
No, well, I mean, that's fantastic. And I mean, channels is huge. Are you guys seeing like 80% of your business coming from your channel?
100% of our business comes through channel.
Incredible. Well, listen, Steven, I won't keep you on the line. It sounds like you're in the car, but I've got to ask. We all work on referrals. Obviously, that's how channels get built really well. Given what I explained to you, do you have anyone in your community or any of your peers that may need some help with some of those areas?
I mean, to be honest, I don't refer someone that I knew and have worked with, and we haven't done that yet. So I'm reluctant to pass anybody as a referral or recommendation until we've done business together. So apologies, but that's, philosophically, that's where I am.
No, that's perfectly fine. I appreciate that, Steven. And, likewise, if we did business, I wouldn't ask you for a full-on referral either. I would say, give me a name and maybe an industry. And then once I've blown, your expectations out the water, then we can revisit that that conversation again. So, Steven, I appreciate it. I love you being candid, and I wish you the best of luck.
I'm just waiting for your disposition. You could have gone for a referral.
I did. You wouldn't give it to me.
Very good. All right, we have about 10 minutes
left. Did you not hear it?
I heard. Yeah, I guess he was standoffish about that. That makes sense.
I understand what he's saying. I haven't done business with you, so why would I let you into my channel without knowing who you are? So it's okay.
You're doing a great job. Love the tenacity, the consistency of tone. It's hard to tell that you've been calling for an hour. It sounds like the first call. That's one of the keys. You want to make sure it sounds like you just started. You don't want to take energy the next call. If you have a bad call, you don't want to take the next call. That's like the biggest law of calling. Revenue Garage, Revenue Grid. We have some awesome sponsors. We want to thank Slintel. We want to thank Vidyard, thank Lead IQ, Connect and Sell for putting up, I'm not going to call it a dialer. It is a weapon of mass conversation. We've got some great tech companies supporting Revenue Garage. I want to thank the founder, Julia Nimchinska, and RevenueGarage.com, and the whole Revenue Garage team, and the folks, creating these awesome sites and logos and bringing the competition together. The point of this website is methodologies. Think of a product hunt for sales. We're finally, for the first time, analyzing call openers and blended hybridized call methodologies. And Gavin is using several today.
Oh, man.
And you were here. History is being made. What kind? It's not quite sure. This is a niche within a niche, and as the French say. Keep going, my friend.
Yeah, well, what else do you do, right? You can't, you got to just keep dialing and smiling. Apparently, I'm not smiling enough, supposedly. Someone just let me know that, so I tend to forget that. I'm a Marine, we're taught not to smile very often. Sorry. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I ever finish my little bit about that. Every dial that you make is one more into the bank. So you can reverse engineer your entire sales cookbook and figure out just how many dials it takes over time to get to your goals and to get to your attainment levels of where you want to be. So don't be discouraged.
Yeah. So that's one of the weird things. It's always like, well, I want this many opportunities and this much revenue. And we make these huge plans. And what I find is the cumulative impact. Sales to me is like brushing your teeth or exercising or eating well. You've got to do it every day. You have to be doing outbound sales. And some people are just sporadic. And that's the only thing that holds you back. You've got to be doing some kind of outbound prospecting.
Well, and I think, everyone's in sales. Like when Hey, Ed.
Hello.
Good morning. It's Gavin Tice on the recorded line.
Okay, how can I help?
Yeah, I'm guessing my name's completely unfamiliar to you.
Okay, unusual for an inbound phone call. How can I help?
Yeah, let me take a moment, share the reason why I called you this morning, give you some context. Ed, I work for Justin Michael Consulting. We're a sales consultancy, and typically when I get in front of CEOs like yourself, they tend to share things with me, like they build a great company, Ed. They're good at what they do. They've got a great team that's ambitious. They're technically sound, but due to whatever reasons, they're not out there knocking on enough new doors on a consistent basis. They're not seeing the new revenue coming in at the rate that they're happy with. Other times, Ed, they're telling me, they're doing a good job getting ahead of all those new opportunities, but there's a constant frustration that the sales cycles are taking longer than they really believe that they should. And, their guys are doing a lot of unpaid consulting. They're seeing a lot of other deals that should have closed going out the other side. Other times, Ed, people are telling me, they're doing a great job closing those deals, but they're an existing tight marketplace, Their buyers are commoditizing them. They're giving away all their margin. I'm going to stop here. Certainly, I can't say I know your business or how you run your organization, but is there anything that I mentioned that might resonate with you and perhaps worthy of a conversation?
Well, if I had a sales team, that would all be true. But I don't. Everything's word of mouth, referrals, for open source, or SaaS products. So it may not be in your wheelhouse for our type of sales. They tend to be longer. Associations, nonprofits don't move super fast, although they are super important to our economy. They have boards, governance, et cetera. So there's only so much you can do to expedite it. And it's kind of weird. It's actually more probable for us not to have a sales team because sales teams have an incentive to close sales that are not aligned with the product, and that eventually leads to churn as opposed to long-term clients.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm assuming your sales lead generation, is that your niche, or what product do you sell?
That's a great question, and I wouldn't say we sell one product. And you've given me a little bit about your organization, but I really don't know enough about exactly where we would be a great fit. I mentioned quite a few different pieces there. Sometimes we're coming in and we're building playbooks. Other times we're helping people actually create the right kind of email structure and cycles that deliver high deliverability rates and get meetings set. Other times it's just teaching people a better process. So you don't have that churn rate, right? So you have people who are ethically selling consistently. Because, not everyone is a good fit for our consulting business, right? Some people are, some people aren't. Just like every company that you guys probably come across, they may not be a perfect fit for what you guys do there at Tendency. So I think the key is really sitting down, taking some time out, really diving into a little bit more about your company, finding out like what's working, what's not working for you. And then, on the same token, you probably asked me quite a few different questions about, hey, what does it look like to work with you? Can you help us in these areas? And, at the end of that time, if we were to sit down and have a conversation, you might say, hey, man, this was great, but I don't think there's any reason for us to move forward. Or you might say, hey, Gavin, this was the best time I've ever spent. I'd love to know what kind of like next steps and what it looks like to work with you guys at GMC Consulting. So, are you open to that?
Well, you're talking about the most valuable commodity I have, which is time.
Certainly.
So far today, I have missed 9 phone calls, and I am late on a meeting. Well, not late yet. I will be in 2 minutes. I think while adapting to this COVID stuff, kind of a pain in the ass.
For sure.
And a giant tragedy for our country. So I think right now I'm covered. I know of a number of folks who can definitely expedite the sales process, but there's no point in expediting the sales process if it takes my time or somebody else on my team's time right now to do the demo if I've got work in the house.
Yeah,
so I think
sure.
this will get better, but I don't see it. I don't see any big giant jumps in anything except crypto in the short term. But by the end of the year, I do expect. Biden's got to do a lot better than Trump on at least on the economy for sure, and on the vaccines definitely. So there's hope, but the market hasn't trickled down yet, So
yeah.
But hey, I got another call in 2 minutes, so I got to go. I appreciate your time, man.
All right, Ed. Take care.
Well played. He missed 9 calls as he was talking to you for what? 3 minutes? That was amazing. It's like, yeah.
6 minutes and 5 seconds. Yeah.
Only thing that's going to work in this market's crypto. I love that line. I just need a T-shirt. Like everyone, come on, crypto. This is like the Dutch tulip craze. I mean, talk about a market where everyone is going to lose their shirt. It's all very good.
I'll tell you, I think definitely that Ed deserves some follow-up and nurturing because I think he has some interests. He just doesn't really, I couldn't really understand like how he doesn't have a sales team because he's a seller himself as executive. But that was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're coming up to the end of the hour. Maybe give you 1 more minute or 2 more minutes, depending on the judges here. I'll give you 60 more seconds to dial. See if you can rope one more largemouth bass here. To put it in Ohio terms. What kind of fish do you have in the area? Catfish? What grows up there?
Yeah, catfish, perch, bass. I think. I don't know. I'm not much of a fisherman. I like to eat fish more than I like to go out there and grill them out. So.
oddly as like plugged into a light socket, and my ability to speak at 100 miles an hour. I actually really love to fish. I grew up fishing right over the hill here in Santa Ynez, and just like sitting on lakes with my brother and spending all day fishing. It's kind of the yin yang. I did some deep sea too. I get seasick. We take Dramamine, get out there and catch halibut. It's a lot of fun. I really fight in the deep water.
Oh yeah.
It's fun. But Lee Bartlett wrote a book, the #1 bestseller. He's actually a ranked fly fisherman, and he talks all about catching the deep water fish. And Tim Ferriss had a quote, the fishing is the best where the fewest go. And I really believe in cold calling. When you call at sea level, you're willing to do something and be brave, you can really break through. So it's been a great set of meets, matches, bouts. What do you call this? I know it's yeah.
Hey, Randall, this is a cold call on a recorded line. You can hang up on me or give me 30 seconds to tell you the reason why I called.
Quite an interesting pitch. What you got?
Yeah, man. Listen, I get invited by CEOs and business owners. They're frustrated because they got a sales team. They claim they can't get, into the front of the decision makers, but none of them are picking up the phone and prospecting. Others, they tell me, hey, we got concerns because our sales teams, they're hiding on LinkedIn all day. They're becoming these professional profile visitors. They're sending all the end mails, but, things aren't actually winding up with positive outcomes. It's not moving the needle forward.
Right.
And probably the most common thing I hear a lot, Randall, is, they're closing deals, but they're giving away all their margin and they're discounting way too quickly. They hear that budget and people say, oh man, I got to pull up. So my question to you is, does any of this ring a bell to you?
No.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I mean, we're pretty much in the top 300 fastest companies growing within this space. So you tell me exactly how you're going to change that. Can you get me into the top 50 by the end of the year?
Well, I'd be lying to you if I said I could, because I don't know enough about what you guys do and what's working and what's not working. But it's pretty possible that we could take a few minutes. Obviously not right now because I called you out of the blue. Sit down and figure out.
So why don't you do this? Why don't you reach back out to me? Let's shoot for next week. Just ping me. I don't have my schedule in front of me, and we'll discuss it a little bit further.
Okay. So if I'm to do that, I need to know at least a day and a time that's going to work best for you. You're on the East Coast, right?
I just told you I don't have my schedule.
Okay. When do you take lunch?
I wouldn't have a day and time for you if I'm not looking at my schedule.
Gotcha. Okay.
But let's do this. Why don't you reach out to me next week, and we'll sit down, look at my schedule, and get that hammered out.
All right. I'll take that. Thanks, Randall. Have a good day.
You too.
Mm-hmm. Goodbye.
Great job, Gavin. We are now done with the competition. You schooled us in the last minute. Talked about fishing, which is good. Try to get that in. RevenueGarage.com, Slintel, Lead IQ, Vidyard, Connect and Sell, Revenue Grid, and we have more fun coming tomorrow. Revenue Garage, and the person that we have Gabriel Blackwell, returning champion from the last fight, and then we have Aaron Ross, who's the godfather of SDRs. He's coming in sort of like the big boss of Tyson's Punch Out, going back to the 80s video games, Mr. Dream. And really excited to have you on the show today, Gavin. We're going to go ahead and sign off of the live. Let me check.
That's awesome.
Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Go to revenuegarage.com and look for more fights tomorrow. Mañana.